Welcome to PK Woodworking. And I know it's been a while, but I wanted to give some context and then show you something that I think people should think about.
I interrupt this terrible B-roll to give you a message about what the video is really about. The video is really about being unafraid to look at the Craigslist finds, the OfferUp finds that are out there, because you can find things that you'll never find at a big box store. A 15-inch planer that's out there from many of the different brands start in the 4K range for something that's decent. And a Tersa based machine out there, I think the least expensive one I could find goes for about 15K. And so for a little bit more than you'd pay for a lunchbox planer, you can have a really amazing machine that gives you a different level of finish. During the video, I say high-end woodworkers a lot. What I really mean is woodworkers that are building furniture, and they really appreciate the finish that a Tersa knife can give when it's really sharp. So I just wanted to, come out and tell you that this video is not about trying to tell you all about this particular machine, although it is pretty cool. It's more about like the finds that are out there and being unafraid to look at a three-phase machine, a little bit of electrical, and you're in the game, ready to start making some amazing furniture.
So I sold my joiner planer that I did a review on a while back, and at the time I ordered a new joiner planer, and you know the world of supply chain. I'm still probably a month away before it shows up. So in the meantime, I didn't have a joiner or a planer. So I asked my dad, wouldn't it be cool if I could borrow your lunchbox planer? So he let me borrow his lunchbox planer for a little while. In the meantime, I, scrubbing Craigslist like any good woodworker would, and OfferUp and everywhere else, and I found cool planer. So it was a bargain by all means. I don't know why the person was selling it so inexpensively, but it's challenging sometimes to sell a three-phase machine. So this is a three-phase planer. It's a Griggio that's made by Griggio for Laguna back in the day. This is a 2006 machine, and it is a 9 horsepower planer with a separate motor for the feed that's a little over a horsepower and a separate motor to raise and lower the bed. This was not a cheap machine in 2006 when it first came out. So as you'll see at the front of it, it says 52. That stands for 520 millimeters, which is a little over 20 inches for us people in the old US. And it's got something that's called a Tersa head, and I'll show you a little bit about that. Planers of the past, because they automatically take care of themselves. Again, I'll get to that in a second. So why am I talking about this? Who cares about this stuff? Because this is not much more, was not much more than the cost of a really high quality lunchbox planer. And this has capabilities far beyond what that can do. Okay, Paul, that sounds great. So the situation is I don't have three-phase in my house. Well, I know most people don't have three-phase at their house. But this, because it's not really that electronic, it does have an electronic readout that I'll show you, but it's not very electronic. You can find somebody with a used rotary phase converter that probably work just fine to be able to do this. I'm gonna bring this in a little closer, show you some of the features, tell you why I think like searching for these things and looking for a bargain is probably better than always going down to your neighborhood box store and finding a lunchbox planer. So, hold please. Well, meet Mr. Griggio here. So, this is very heavy, weighs about 1,600 pounds, and most of the bottom of the machine is either really thick sheet steel that's been like welded, etc., or some cast parts to it also. This is what's called a scraped finish on the planer bed, which is only seen in really high-end machines nowadays. Usually it's some kind of a fly cut kind of a surface, but this is really good for helping it be slick when it's doing the work it needs to do. It also has 4 different posts that it kind of rides on, front and back, and this is a lock that you can lock the whole thing down so that the thing is very stable if you're trying to run through really long boards, etc. I don't really have to use it. I've never had any snipe or anything like that. It's been completely accurate. The completely variable speed. So you can go anywhere from slowest of 6 meters a second all the way up to 30 meters a second. I don't know why you'd want to go that fast, but you can dial it in and out. And it's a mechanical system, not electronic. Uses, like I said, that separate motor to run it. This turns off and on the motor that runs the feed, which is important because that limits the inrush current when you're starting it up, which is a good thing. It's got a actual stop here in the front, that emergency stop, because this motor actually has a brake on it, believe it or not, to slow it down or to stop it if you turn off the power to it. And then stop start, up and down. And then this is actually a way to lock the head when you're trying to or unlock the head when you're trying to change the knives, which I'll show you later. Up and down on this particular, I guess, a readout. It's got two versions. If you hold it down, it goes pretty fast. And then if you go tap it, you can basically get it to go up a couple of, I don't know, hundredths at a time. You can get it down to almost a thousandth at a time if you want to. But when I stop here at, like, say 359, like, or 2359, like when I get the caliper out, it's 2359, which is pretty cool. And you can adjust it pretty simply by this little device that was added on, I think, by somebody over the course of time that owned it. Again, let me show you now the insides of it. So let me show you the electronics bay. I turned the power off really quick. Unlock this. This swings out, and inside of here, which hopefully you can see, all of the parts on the machine that are required to kind of make it work correctly are here. So the starters for the motors, there's relays in here, and then there's also the control for the up and down fall of the actual platform. And then the other cool part about this is that since it's all built into its own section and it's sealed off, it never gets dirty in here. So this electronics basically stays pristine over the course of its, like, what, 16, 17 years that it's been on in use, pretty much. And yeah, pretty slick way of just closing it off, and then you turn the old, there we go. So this whole lid is actually movable. So you undo this part, move it up, and there on the inside is pretty much the entire machine. So inside of here, you have a hood that's lined with soundproofing material that makes it much quieter. That was actually an option, one of the few options on the machine that makes it pretty quiet. Of course, I'll turn it on later and show you that. Let me get you a little deeper. Okay, so we've got some really cool features that you don't see on all kinds of machines in here, but these are like incoming calls that, like, are anti-kickback, which is great. If you take these two pieces back, each one of these fingers creates pressure on the pressure bar down below. And then there's a segmented infeed roller on this that I'll show you from a picture from below. About 1.25 inches wide are each one of the little segments, so that it helps you stick wood that comes through this at different heights to keep them still moving through, even though normally on another machine it would just pull up that area and that whole roller, and then things wouldn't roll in that were different sized. Then you can see how massive this cutter is. If I come on the back side, I'll show you that, and the fact that it's currently locked. Okay, now, so this is a telltale sign right here that you have a Tersa machine, because it's going to have a hole either on the front and the back. You can see them right here built into the casting. You can't see this one on this side with the camera view, but that allows you to slide the actual blades in and out. And I have a set of replacement blades that I bought when I got this, thinking I was going to need to. They're two-sided each. I bought 2 sets, and so far, these have been great. These are relatively inexpensive too. I think the whole 2 sets was about, I don't know, maybe $100 total or something like that. And again, each one of them has 2 sides, so you can swap them. And this one has 4 blades in it on the cutter head, and the cutter head is pretty big, 120 millimeter cutter head. These adjustments right here are for the pressure rollers. This particular machine has 2 outfeed rollers, which again is a real huge benefit you don't see until you get into really high-end machines. Most even full-size machines only have one outfeed powered roller. This one has two, helps you bring that heavier wood through. Again, a great feature. I turn the power on. Should hear it clunk here in a second. That's locked. Okay, so when the machine turns on and it knows it's on, first things first, this little button up here will not let me, unless this is on, down, it will not turn on. So I have no chance of getting anything bad happening to me. But now this actually will turn, and I can line this up with that hole. And then all you have to do is these little pieces back behind here, you hit them with a board, like a wedge board, it pops them back temporarily, and then you can slide it out, flip it over to the other side, slide it back in, and the centrifugal force of the actual spinning of the head makes those little gibs pop back out and lock the thing in place. And again, amazing. It's really a heavy cutter head, and that's one of the reasons why it gives such a smooth finish. There's a lot of high-end woodworkers that prefer this over a helical head, but I still pick the helical head because I'm crazy like that. So let me close this back up and show you from the underside. I figured I'd show you how long it takes. It's got a pretty big depth of cut it can take also. That ought to be good. I think you can see underneath this, but if not, it's gonna suck. I'll have to do it again. You can see the segmented infeed roller here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 segments on the inside. And then you can see the pressure bar here that's right in front of the cutter head. And hopefully you can see the 2 outfeed rollers in the back. And then these are the anti-kickback pawls that are right here in the front. So the big question is how loud is it? Okay, so we're on. I've got the infeed turned off, and then we'll start her up. Pretty quiet. And then now the feed roller's on. You go ahead and move it through. And again, I can change the speed to whatever I want. And the speed is listed right here on the front of that. So let me turn on some dust collection and run something through. All right, got a piece of cherry here, and we're saying 0.7845. So it's about 0.765, I'm saying. Let's go 0.765. .762 sounds great. So let's well, I guess I never lock it, so why do it? Let's start her up. Turn on the feed. Some dust collection. Let her rip. See where it's at. You can't see that. So 0.7615, 0.7620. I'd say that's pretty accurate. So let's go down a little farther. So let's go 738, and we'll go on the other side. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's no snipe. Oh. 0.7380. 0.738. Like, I don't know if it gets any better than that. Pretty quiet, definitely quieter than a lunchbox planer is. What I would say is scour the internet before you buy. You can, if you're looking at a grizzly planer, if you're looking at somebody else's planer that's a bigger size planer, not a lunchbox planer, like this, along with some kind of a phase converter, is doable. Yeah, it's a lot of horsepower, but in the end, then again, it's really great because you can run it slow, you can run it fast, and it really is a pleasure to use compared to some of those other planers, because I've had them before. So anyways, I guess my message here is, don't be afraid to try yourself out in the used market, because sometimes you get amazing buys. And yes, I can't hang on to this forever, so I am going to have to sell it because I don't have room for it for when my joiner planer shows up. So somebody else will get a good deal, hopefully, and be able to love this for a long time. Anyways, peace from PK Woodworking, and hopefully I'll have some more videos coming out when some more of my machines come out. I did have a shaper show up. I do want to do some videos on that. And then I want to do the whole process of getting this joiner and plater from picking it up all the way through to setting it up, because I've never seen one of these on the internet. So keep woodworking.